All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Jared Goff and his comments on being committed to Detroit long term. Get into a little bit about his contract situation. I know that's been talked about on previous shows before, but I just wanted to get into really what he had to say about Detroit and wanting to be here or wanting to be there for the long term. So this is what he said. It's been amazing, man. I love it here. Would love to be here for a long time. It's been really special, like I mentioned, playing in front of these fans and being able to provide a winning culture in the last year and a half or so. To see them experience that and be able to be a part of that has been fun. But by no means are we satisfied or happy to be here or any of that. It's about what's next now. And let's see if he said anything else. This is what the general manager had to say. Oh wait, no, this is what Goff said. Never mind. You never want to say something. There's discussion. Oh, this is about the contract situation. There's discussions, and Brad has said what he said to you guys, and I'll say the same thing. There's been discussions. Yeah, my agent's on top of it. He's doing a good job, and I trust those guys. So that's on the contract situation. But I wanted to focus more on what he said in the first quote, which is talking about, being with the Lions, how much he loves being in Detroit. And again, I talked about him earlier this week. And yeah, again, he was basically traded to Detroit to kind of just be maybe a bridge guy. I mean, that's where his career was probably going to, be derailed, and he ends up, being a backup quarterback. But that ended up not happening. He really took advantage of the opportunity that he got with the Lions. And the Lions are now regarded as one of the best teams in the NFC. And right now they're better than the Rams. And they beat the Rams in the playoffs. Now again, it's the Rams got some revamping that they have to do. And again, it's not like Matthew Stafford fell off a cliff. No, Matthew Stafford got hurt in 2022. After winning the Super Bowl in 2021. And, as the Rams started to decline from their Super Bowl championship, the Lions have kind of, they've risen. And like I said, the Rams are going to have to do some revamping. It's not like the Rams have become this bad team. In 2022, they had, like I said, guys getting hurt. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, like I said. Aaron Donald got hurt. So yeah, the Rams season kind of got derailed because of that. But then they bounced back in 2023. They ended up making the playoffs, and that game between them and the Lions was one of the best playoff games last year. But yeah, right now, you probably rank the Lions over, you would rank the Lions over the Rams. And especially now with Aaron Donald retiring, they got to figure out how to, plug that hole up. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. But yeah, I would rank the Lions over the Rams. Many other people do the same thing. And like I've been saying since I started doing the football podcast, I'm very happy for Jared Goff that he's gotten this opportunity now. And eventually, you would think they're going to work out an extension, and he's going to be there long term. And rightfully so. And the Lions are going to continue to build up this roster. And we'll see what they end up doing in this draft. Maybe they go after another receiver. Wide receiver is definitely something that they should also address, just because you got AmonRaSt.Brown, but you're still waiting for Jameson Williams to kind of take that next step. And again, he has shown flashes, but hasn't taken that step I think the Lions are hoping for. And maybe in 2024 he breaks out. But you need somebody opposite of AmonRaSt.Brown. So there's wide receivers still out there on the free agent market that maybe they could bring in potentially, because they did lose Josh Reynolds. I know he signed somewhere else. I don't know off the top. Forgot which team he signed with, but yeah, he signed elsewhere. And if you remember, those two guys, Reynolds and Goff, they played on the Rams together. But now he's gone. I know Khalif Raymond has made plays for them in the past, but again, you don't look at him as a number two. Jameson Williams is supposed to be the guy. But I think they're going to bring in another wide receiver, whether it's through the draft or whether maybe they sign somebody in free agency. But again, you had Sam Laporta. He had a solid rookie season for them, the rookie tight end. So, I think you need another receiver. The offensive line is solid, but you need another receiver. But again, you see what Jared Goff can do when he's surrounded by talent. Jared Goff's a solid quarterback. And, I think a lot of people initially thought, yeah, he only was good because McVay made him into a good quarterback. He was in the right system. Well, this shows you that he could do well elsewhere. And he brought the Lions to an NFC championship. Or an NFC championship game. They had the lead. And they ended up losing it, unfortunately for them. But, Jared Goff proved the doubters wrong. And, like I said, I think he deserves to get paid. I think the Lions and Goff will definitely work something out. And then you go from there. And like I said, because I remember I was doing a ranking of the teams in the NFC earlier in the week. Right now, probably put them as, number 2. The second best team in the NFC. Because you got the Packers, but again, to give the Lions respect, going to put them over the Packers. Then you got the Eagles and the Cowboys. And right now, I would put the Lions ahead of the Eagles. And right now, the Cowboys, they didn't really do anything this offseason. We talked about this yesterday. I've been talking about this for weeks. Cowboys are still, a top 5 team in the NFC. But, I'm not going to put them, in the top 3. I think right now they're top 5. I think right now I like what the Eagles did this offseason. So I'd probably put the Eagles slightly ahead of them. But then again, the Cowboys, they kind of owned the Eagles. Well, I know they split, but the Cowboys could have very easily swept them last year. But right now, the Lions to me are the second best team in the NFC. I'm going to put them at number 2. Because I still like the 49ers over them. And I don't know, maybe I'm higher on the Packers, but I kind of like the Packers over the Eagles and the Cowboys right now. The Packers got better. How did the Cowboys get better? And the Packers beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. And then the Eagles, they collapsed. We'll see how these teams match up against each other in week 1. Obviously one game's not going to define everything because those teams could meet up in the playoffs again. But, we'll see how they stack up against each other in week 1. But I am looking forward to that game, as many others are. But, yeah, we kind of got off topic here with the Lions. But, yeah, Lions, I'm expecting big things for them in 2024. And Goff is going to be at the center of that. And it's a new year. And, you're hoping, again, they're not satisfied. They're hoping that they could take that next step and get to a Super Bowl. Now, again, the conference is going to be improved. The division is going to be improved. But, the Lions, again, I look at them as one of the top teams in the NFC. So I think they could do it. And they played well against the 49ers. It's just they collapsed. So, and part of that is because of what Dan Campbell did, being overly aggressive. And you're kind of hoping that it does. He's going to continue to be aggressive, but you're hoping that maybe he could pull back a little bit. And in certain situations, he isn't as aggressive. And he kind of takes the points. Because, yeah, part of that collapse against the 49ers had to do with coaching. And you're hoping that it doesn't happen again. Because, that could make you lose your job. And Dan Campbell at one point even said he thought he was going to get fired at one point. This is before the Lions turned it around. in 2022. They finished 9-8. And then we know what happened last year. They were one of the best teams. But you don't want that. You don't want decisions like that defining your season. And that's kind of like what happened. It's just they were overly aggressive, didn't convert on fourth down, and that kind of, gave all the momentum back to the 49ers. So, but again, you're hoping that Dan Campbell learned at least. Again, I still expect him to be aggressive, but just pull back a little bit because it could definitely cost you at times. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the Lions. I think, they've been drafting well. So I continue. That's going to continue in this draft. You would imagine. They really have done a nice job rebuilding this team, and again, they achieved something that no Lions team has done. No Lions team has in 30 years, and that was win a playoff game. Win back-to-back playoff games. That's something Matthew Stafford did not do his entire career with the Lions. And again, it's not all his fault, but it just never happened with him. They really got something special going on over there in Detroit. And let's see if that continues, which I think it will. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. Again, I think they're going to work out a deal with Goff. I don't think that's an issue. And he's going to be the quarterback moving forward. And I'm very happy for him. And I hope he continues to be successful there in Detroit. And let's see what the Lions do in 2024. Let me know what you guys think about this. What are your thoughts on the Lions? Can the Lions get it done, get to the Super Bowl in 2024? I mean, I think it's definitely possible. But we'll just have to wait and see. But let me know about the Goff contract discussions, as well as your thoughts on the Lions going into 2024. Because, again, I look at them as one of the best teams in the NFC. And you could even say one of the best teams in the NFL. But, again, when you got the AFC on the other side, you're bringing in more teams. And, yeah, they might crack the top 5. But, I mean, they're definitely top 10, of course. But maybe they might be a little bit outside of the top 5. Have to really think about that. But still, one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the best teams in football, one of the best teams in the NFC, more specifically. So when we come back from our final break of the show, we're going to talk about another team that could be one of the best teams in the NFL, definitely one of the best teams in the AFC on paper, and that is the Houston Texans. We'll talk about what DeMeco Ryans had to say about their rising expectations, and also, talk about their acquisitions as well from this offseason. So with that being said, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.